Thank you for joining me. This is Kati Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. It's Thursday. We're together, and what an important topic where we discuss complaining culture breakdown. And isn't breaking this down the perfect adjective? It does break things down to have a culture of complaint. We're going to get into it today and share some really interesting psychology around complaining and the harmful effects that can come from that. It can become such a habit because there are specific rewards happening that we may not be conscientious of. What is complaining? It's not just blowing off steam. From a psychological perspective, complaining is the verbalization of a victim mindset. The definition: it is the act of expressing pain, dissatisfaction, or resentment without an immediate intent to create a solution. How this might manifest in your salon. It could be a stylist in the break room muttering about the commission structure, the manager sighing when a walk in or callback comes through, or the owner venting about somebody they think is just so lazy, or they're complaining about their home life to their spouse. Like this all could become a negative loop and habit, and that creates a culture of complainers. We don't want that. So if you're not sharing your truth, this might mean you're rehearsing your misery, and there are no solutions to that. So the psychology behind it, why this is a losing behavior and habit, it literally tells your brain to shape into something different. Let me explain. Your brain is like plastic. It shapes itself based on what you do most. If complaining is what you do most, it will almost drive deeper and deeper and more of an ingrained aspect of you. It's like it becomes an identity almost. Your neuroplasticity in your brain, this is where things fire together that are wired together. So let me explain. Every time you complain, you strengthen the neural pathways for negativity. You are literally building a pessimism superhighway in your brain, making it easier to be more unhappy tomorrow than even you are today. I've been stuck in seasons of looking at things from a negative perspective. I've been stuck in a victim mindset. And we're going to get into how to solve being stuck in that type of place, because it will resonate off of you. We'll get into that as well. So the psychology continues why this is a losing game. Your cortisol spikes. So complaining triggers the release of cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And if you have high levels of stress or that cortisol level, it actually impairs your prefrontal cortex. So it impairs the prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for problem solving and creativity. Would you agree? In our environment, in our careers, we need to be able to effectively create and problem solve. If we get stuck in a negative loop of complaining, it literally impairs the part of our brain that helps us be creative and problem solve. It's like secondhand smoke. Now, it is interesting. There's one event every year that Maya, who powers Beyond the Technique podcast, goes to Las Vegas. There's one event where I'm in Las Vegas. It's the only time I travel and I'm somewhere else that I remember, like, oh my gosh, I forgot people smoke, and they smoke indoors. We were one of the first cities to really adopt the no smoking indoors here in good old Madison, Wisconsin. So when that became a thing, we were on board pretty close to the beginning of that. So you become used to not being in that environment. But when you're so used to not being in it, once you're in it, you can't, you're like, oh gosh. Do you ever walk through parking garage and you're like, oh my gosh, somebody's smoking. Where is that coming from? And you can smell it immediately. So complaining is like projecting secondhand smoke onto others. 30 minutes. This is research from Stanford University. They show that 30 minutes of complaining every day physically peels away neurons in the hippocampus. That's the part of the brain for problem solving, you guys. This happens to the listener too. This is where the secondhand smoke comes in. So not only are you literally damaging your own brain, but you are damaging the brains of anybody that's exposed to your complaints. I can't make this up. This is really what's taking place with your brain when you are complaining, or if you're in a room or somebody is complaining. This is why it's so important to protect yourself or shut it down. Be like, have the courage to, like, if somebody's lit up a cigarette next to you, what would you do? First thing is probably like, I'd see if I could walk away. But if I was in a space where that's impossible, I would be like, is there any way that you could stop that right now and do it later? Not around me. I think that would take a lot of guts to be able to do that to the people you care about or that you fear might reject you for responding to them that way. But it might be what it takes so that you don't become a complainer yourself or have that negativity come on to you. So there are 3 reasons that complaining are bad and it become a bad habit. Number 1, it destroys your social capital. In a salon culture, your culture is currency. So complaining, it creates what's called triangulation. What does that mean? It means stylist A talks to stylist B about manager C. And ultimately, this kills trust and creates an us versus them environment. If you're talking about other people, if you're complaining, you know deep in your heart what you're doing is wrong and hurting yourself and the people around you. Number 2, it repels high value clients. So have you ever stepped into an environment where you could sense the vibe like is not great? Your clients sense that too. So if they're coming in for their escape to feel good, be transformed just for that little bit of time, and you have a negative vibe all around you, it will literally have a psychological impact on your clients. They will feel that and they will make the decision to go elsewhere unless they're into it. And that unless they're like, what's happening around here? Spill the tea. And they're just as much sucked into the complaint culture. And that's, by the way, running rampant everywhere. This isn't just a salon culture challenge. This is a challenge in any work environment that you might be in, any community or group you participate in, no matter what, even in your household. This can become triggering, negative, and debilitating. Number 3, it's a leadership ceiling. If you are a leader in your salon or spa, you can choose between growth or excuses, but you cannot have both at the same time. You will never lead a team further than you have led yourself. So if you complain, you're giving your team permission to complain as well. How do we overcome a habit? Let's say you're being really honest with yourself and you have a current culture where complaining is just, it's kind of there. It's there and it's easy, and you probably participate because you might be used to meeting people where they're at and want them to feel like seen, heard, validated. But at what cost? Are you seeing, can you see and hear and validate, like, I hear where you're coming from, but have then a solution? Or how do you, so we're going to get into that. How do you overcome this? The 5-second rule was presented to me when I read the book by Mel Robbins. And some of you know her. She has the Let Them Theory book. People are really into that. She also wrote the book on the 5-second rule. So the moment you feel an urge to complain, she recommends you stop yourself and you go 5, literally out loud. You say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That interrupts that habit loop in your basal ganglia and moves the processing to your prefrontal cortex. Now it's giving you time to rethink. Should I be complaining about this? There are rules around productive venting. So you might be thinking, well, geez, okay, well, what if I literally have something I'm concerned about that I want to share? Now I can't share it. Now I'll just keep my mouth shut because if I share it, that's going to be considered complaining. No, no, no. That response that I just mimicked is the victim mentality in it of itself. So how do you productively vent? Productive is the word here. So according to Dr. Chappelle, who works with presidents, NFL or NBA players, high-level executives and CEOs, he's a mindset coach, a behavioral psychologist. He says this: you are allowed to vent for 60 seconds only if it's followed up with the question, what is the one thing I can do right now to improve this? If you don't have a next step proposal, it is not venting, it's polluting. Always come to the table with, hey, I'm concerned. I'm noticing this issue. It's perpetuating. I'm seeing it taken into an effect. Here's how I think we could handle it. Here is another idea. What are your thoughts? And make it a collaborative way. But the focus here is to actually solve it. And what's interesting about that is you're like totally unable to solve it if you are ingrained in a vicious cycle of complaining. So reframe your language from I have to I get to, instead of I have to deal with this difficult client. And I promise you, I see the behind the scenes of salons and even our own salons. And you'll have a guest who calls back and asks for a refund and it's not warranted and you're frustrated. They're complaining about something a month after they've been in, for example. And you're like, what is going on? So let's say you're the manager that has to deal with. So instead of saying, oh, I have to deal with this difficult client, you say, amazing. Today I get to protect the culture of my salon by setting a professional boundary. I get to protect that stylist. I get to protect our team. I get to versus I have to. You are the outcome of your strongest thoughts. Your life is going to move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Are you stuck in negativity? And by the way, I don't blame anybody for being stuck in this. I've been stuck in it. And I think a lot of it is what we're inundated with. When we're on social media or watching media in general, what gets the most clicks? What has the biggest payoffs? It isn't the positive, uplifting things, not as often. We have to go out of our way to battle that. We have to be on guard and be prepared to battle against what's coming at us from every direction in any group or community that we may be a part of. And friends, being in the church, you're going to have this in any environment. A women's Bible study. Let's say you're a participant. Prayers can sometimes look like complaints. It'll be interesting what you start to notice after today's conversation of how things are presented to you, if it's a complaint versus venting with the solution proposed. But I can't say enough how this is just a bad habit that will negatively long-term affect your culture if you allow it to continue. So many salons listening have a culture code, like, hey, here's our code of honor. Here's our code of conduct. Do we have a defined no complaining code or a standard on venting? Here's our venting standard. If it's not done this way, it's going to be considered negative complaining that draws no real positive solution, no proposed positive solution to the table. But if you have a proposed positive solution, what else I say, and I didn't make this up myself, I learned this from Dave Ramsey, is the definition of gossip is sharing anything with the person, with somebody that isn't the one that can solve the issue. If you are talking about others, check yourself. It's not the right approach. It's not even helpful for you. It does nothing great for your life. Focus on being around people who want to talk about growth, their future, their goals, their next milestones they're working to achieve. You have to go out of your way to encourage those types of conversations and be an encourager for one another. Always looking for the good. And try, if you're too scared to say, look, let's have this be a room where we're not all going to sit and complain, because that negatively affects me. And just like secondhand smoke would, if you feel like you could not say those words, you could be like, you could totally change the subject out of nowhere. Hey, did you see this new thing? This is really cool. I'm thinking about taking this class. I'm thinking about going to this event. Hey, has anybody tried the new glosses that came out by our color line? How did you go about it? How did you mix it? What's your most creative formula you've mixed lately? Get people into a different mindset. That, as a leader, is probably going to be the number one focus as we continue on this year, is how do we get people into a different, better, positive mindset? Complaining costs your peace, your profits, and your people. So today's the day. You can decide we're going to have a no complaint zone. And it's not because we're perfect. It's not because we never face challenges or things that we feel do warrant a complaint. It's that we're too busy building our masterpiece to focus on the tools we don't have around us. You guys, protect your culture at all costs. Bring leaders to your team who will work hard to protect the culture at all costs. You deserve better and you deserve the best. You have to nurture it, expect it, and uphold it. So I'd love to hear your perspective on this. And if you ever have ideas for the podcast, please email us info@joinmya.com. info@joinmya.com. Y'all, I'm here for you week after week. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.
Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.